Hey guys, what's up? We are back with another video today, and today we are doing our 2023 Tennessee football prediction. So make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Help me reach my goal of 1,100 subscribers by the end of July. We are about 46 away as of filming of this video, so hit that subscribe button down below. Like this video if you enjoy it. Comment all your thoughts and opinions down below. Let me know what you think Tennessee's record will be in this upcoming season with Josh Heupel in its third year. With a new-ish. He did start for Josh Heupel in his first year, and Joe Milton. You also have the 5-star that I'm not going to pronounce his name. I'm just going to call him Nico. Sorry, just a future reference because I'm not going to try his last name. Either way, also make sure you check out the Patreon page if you'd like to support this channel financially, as well as my website if you'd like to check out the other parts of the podcast, and my second YouTube page, which is College Football Roundup. Go check out the channel, link in the description. So now let's make our way over to the schedule. So Tennessee starts off with an interesting non-conference neutral site game against Virginia in Nashville. No idea why it's in Nashville. If any Tennessee fan knows why it's in Nashville, please let me know, because I honestly don't know. But I do think that this is going to be a pretty easy win. Tony Elliott has an interesting setup in Virginia. You lost Brennan Armstrong, but Brennan Armstrong played pretty terrible for you last year. I just don't like Tony Elliott as a head coach. I think that he is going to be a failure at Virginia. I think that he wasn't a great offensive coordinator at Clemson, and I think that it was a mistake to hire him. I'm sorry to be so down on Tony Elliott, but I really do think that this would be a big mistake for Virginia after a pretty successful tenure under their previous head coach in Bronco Mendenhall. Then you have Austin Peay as their next game. This is going to be an easy first home game W. Should have no issues here. Then you head to Florida to play the Gators. This is an interesting matchup, and one that, if Florida had Anthony Richardson coming back, I would definitely think that Florida has a good shot to win this game. This game is in the Swamp, and Billy Napier is a good head coach. And I think that it is definitely something that with the Gators, you have a team that just has a lot of, I don't know if you would say inexperience, but just there's a lot of components that have to go right for this team to start working better. And I really this team is just not working the way it needs to be. And I think Billy Napier's got a lot of work to do, even with Graham Mertz at quarterback, that I almost forgot that he was their quarterback. So I do think that this is a win for the Volunteers. Then you have a home game against UTSA, the newly minted AAC team. This is a UTSA team, but by no means is going to be a walk in the park. They have Frank Harris at quarterback, and yes, you do lose Zachary Franklin at wide receiver to Ole Miss. And if you had him back, this would make this game much more interesting. But with the losses that UTSA endures and just not being good enough to keep up with Tennessee, I do think Tennessee gets the win, but I could see an upset here. By no means do I think that this is a walk in the park. I think Tennessee has to look out for this game, and I think has a lot of work to do. But I do think at the end of the day, they will win this game. One more game before your bye week, and it is the revenge game. You have to play the South Carolina Gamecocks and Spencer Rattler, a team that beat you up last year, a team that really well, let's just put it this way. They definitely did not play Tennessee did not play the way in which that they wanted to play in that game. It was a game in which they had a lot of work to do. And obviously Hendon Hooker got hurt, and that made for a tough environment for Joe Milton Joe Milton to come back into and stuff like that. I think that this is going to be a win. If this game was played at South Carolina in Frank Harris Stadium, I would definitely have a different opinion, possibly, or I would say not. I think it'd be a lot closer. I don't know if definitely having a different opinion is the best way of phrasing that, but I do think that this team would definitely be in a better spot with it possibly being a home game for South Carolina. But with it being in Neyland is a really tough place to play, a good home environment. I got to win for the Volunteers. Then you have, after a bye week, you have the Aggies. I think this is a win. I don't think that Jimbo Fisher has this program quite turned around to the way in which that you want it. I think that you definitely have a lot of work to do if you're in any position to win this game. If you're Jimbo Fisher, you have to start with the quarterback position, and I just simply don't think that this team has the ability to win a football game against a far superiorly well-coached team and stuff like that. I just think that this team in a environment in which I think Tennessee is favored. Like, I think that honestly, when you look at this game, Tennessee is the better team. Next, you have Alabama, and I'm going to wait to say who I have winning this game for a second. I'm going to describe what I think is it is about one of the most interesting matchups all year long, in my opinion. I think that with it being in Tuscaloosa, it makes it a very tough environment. Obviously, playing in Tuscaloosa, winning any game in Tuscaloosa is not an easy thing to do. Then you have the simple fact that, well, it's an environment in which I think that, like, to beat Nick Saban twice is hard. The other hard thing when it comes to this is you're going to have to this is later on in the season. And Alabama does have another matchup. I think it's either it's the week. This is a game before their bye week, and then you have play LSU. I just think that Alabama, you don't beat Nick Saban twice. I think this game is a loss. Then you have a road game against Kentucky. I do think that this is a win. I think that Devin Leary is a good quarterback, and I think that he is an improvement in some degrees to Will Levis as a pocket passer and as somebody who can distribute the ball a little bit better. Will Levis, obviously, he was a second-round quarterback in the previous draft and was seen by some people as a possible first-round quarterback. So by no means is this something where he can't make it and stuff like that. But I think that at the end of the day, I think Tennessee's offense is just going to score enough points. I think that is going to be kind of similar to the shootout that they had a couple of years ago when Tennessee beat Kentucky on the road 45-42. I don't know if it will be that close, but I do think overall it is going to be a closer game, and I do think that by the end of it, I do think that Tennessee will end up getting the win. Then you have a home game against UConn. This is not the same UConn team of old. This is a UConn team under Jim Mora's direction. That Jim Mora has this program heading in the right direction, in my opinion. I think that this is a team that in a couple of years, they could be winning some games. They're still independent after leaving the AAC due to wanting to be in the Big East for basketball, which makes a lot of sense because basketball obviously is their biggest sport when it comes to just kind of, well, everything. And that makes sense. The team just won the national championship and stuff like that. So obviously that makes sense. But as an independent, you do have to play a lot of tough games. And I think that with this, you're looking at a UConn team that is going to be improved, that is going to probably give them a test for a quarter and a half. But I think by the end of the day, I do think that this game is a win in the column of the Volunteers, of the Vols. I think that they do get the win there. Then you have a road game against Missouri. I think that this one is another win. I think that this is a game. The only thing about this game that kind of concerns me a little bit, and it really doesn't, but I do think that it is a kind of threat that needs to be taken in. It's right before the Georgia game, so obviously it is going to be a tough kind of, not environment, but it is going to be a factor that you are going to have to take into control. But I think that it is definitely going to be a win there. Then you finally have the big matchup of the year. I know Alabama, it's a big matchup, but I think for a lot of Tennessee fans, they're looking, if you're going to win the division, you have to beat Georgia. You can lose to Alabama and beat Georgia and still be in, because then you'll have the tiebreaker over Georgia. But when it comes to it, I think that it's a loss. I just don't see Tennessee beating Georgia. I think that I like Tennessee. I really do. Like, it is a good it is a good program, and I think Josh Heupel has them in the right spot. But defensively, and I know that defensively wasn't their struggles last year at Georgia. Last year, it was offense. They didn't score enough points. And I think that that's a fair consideration to make. But the problem that I have is at the end of the day, it comes down to who can score the most points and who can stop the other team. And I don't think that Tennessee can stop Georgia, and I don't think that Tennessee's being able to put up enough points against them either. Then you have a Vanderbilt team. Vanderbilt is not going to be an easy win this year, but I do think you get a win. I think it is a 10-2 finish. I think that Vanderbilt is a good team this year. I think that Clark Lee has them in the right direction. And maybe after another year under Clark Lee, maybe this is a team that can compete with Tennessee for a game. I think it's possible. I think Clark Lee has this team heading in the right direction. I think it's possibly a chance that Vanderbilt's bowl bound this year. We'll see. Maybe this is the game. Maybe Vanderbilt's 5-7, 5-7, and this is a game that decides whether they get bowl eligibility. Yeah, they have a lot on the line there. But that's going to wrap up today's video. Hit 2 videos down below and hit the subscribe button up here. And as always, have a great day. Bye, guys.